Hey yo, what's good? What's good, Royal family? It's your boy Trays, and I'm back with a little kingdom recap on a couple of stocks that you guys have requested. So I'm gonna take out a little time. I got, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine stocks. I think I counted that right, but I got about nine stocks that I'm gonna take a look at. Go ahead and dissect them. I'm gonna give a little TA on the side just for the guys that are new. Just tapping in, want to know, how I find structure, how I find price targets, and things of this nature. Yeah, I got the crown edge indicator up right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw all that to the side, and we're gonna start from scratch the old school way, and we're gonna go ahead and break down a couple of these stocks. You feel me? So, um, definitely go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's go ahead and get that locked in. And I've been off for a little bit. I haven't really been doing the streaming thing a little bit lately, but we're gonna warm it back up, and we're gonna get back to what we do best. You feel me? So, um, like I said, go ahead and show your boy some love, and let's go ahead and get to the charts and break this shit down. All right. So first thing that we got, somebody requested Circle. Now, I actually like this one. I think it's pretty dope. I think it flows along with the crypto market, the crypto rally. So um, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So right now, as you can see, my crown edge indicator does show a lot of buying, or between 87 and 108. Now that's a big zone to be buying to the upside. You feel me? But that's just how the crypto world is. Is super super volatile. So even if you look at some of the stocks like MSTR, Coinbase, all of those stocks move dollars within a day or even overnight. So it's been doing pretty good. It's been finding a nice little bottom around 89 and trying to find its next pivot to break out above 108. So we just have to see. We did have that nice crypto rally, Bitcoin rally over here where prices, moved pretty well. This was what, March. Now we're in April to where we're seeing a nice little recovery. I'm gonna be honest. The only thing about this actual chart that got me a little, spooked is this gap right here. And this is between 71 and 62. Overall, the sentiment looks pretty good. Um, Still waiting for the last block right here for this bullish confirmation to make its way up. And once this structure probably breaks right here above 108, then we'll see the next move up. And this should turn green too. So we got the lighter structure right here that's showing bearish, probably just because, as you can see right here, we've been consolidating, just trading sideways below what it is, like this 110, 111 range right here. So if it does continue to fall, we could see some more price action, retest lower levels here around 89 to $90. Doesn't mean that it's breaking. I wouldn't say that we're really flushing lower until we lose this actual support. So let's just look at it without the indicators showing. Let me hide that, and let's just zoom out and see what we can find. So first thing first, this is still technically a fresh baby stock. Um, IPO last June, and right now prices are pretty much at the IPO range. So let's go ahead and mark that out. As you can see, first thing I did when I marked that out, I caught the closing price and then the lowest wick here, and that automatically gave me some structure right off top to follow. We consolidated for a little bit around here. It used it as kind of a support level, which that's what we're seeing right now. So if we see prices dip back down into this $80 range, well below $80, it's gonna be an automatic um, opportunity to start looking at long opportunities or looking for confirmation for it to go back up. Unless it just drops below here, you always gonna play what you see first before you try to anticipate what could happen after the fact. That's what a lot of people gonna mess up at. Trying to get too far the analysis, it'll get you every time instead of just playing what you see, what you got right there in front of you. So right off top, We do see this level of support here based off of the IPO lows. And let's see what else we got. Zoom out a little bit more. Zoom out is that's gonna be your friend. You always want to see the bigger structure, how things are gonna actually play out, or what's been playing out, in order to kind of see the healthiness of how everything looks. So, um, it has a little touch here, one, two. If we break down here, then that's what we'll see, probably a third touch here. But like I said, we're just gonna keep this in mind and play this for now. As far as any type of resistance, where's my ray? Horizontal ray. Bam. So got some structure around here that we can take a look at. And what I'm pretty much doing is I'm just going over here and I'm picking out consolidated zones for the prices to go back and retouch over here. All right. So we already got a support range here. We got some resistance zones right here. As you can see, prices were bought up here, up here, and then it rejected around this area up here. So these are going to be our built price targets. You feel me? So that's what we're looking at right now with Circle. You don't want to put too much and overcomplicate the technical analysis just yet. You just want to kind of give yourself an idea of what you're looking at. Above 107, we could be pushing to 124. And then above 24, we could be pushing to 146. We already saw that attempt here. And then it came back down. Once it got above 124, it sold off and came back to retest its previous support level. So this is what we're watching right now for Circle. We're going to keep looking for opportunities to buy up anywhere below 80. And then once it gets back above here, 107, 124, and 146, which to translate that into calls, probably like a 110, 125, and a 145 strike price. You always want to go with the increments of 5 or 10 just because the open interest and the volume typically is higher, which means it'd be more liquidity to get in and out of those contracts without getting horrible feels. So that's my outlook on Circle. And if I do just go back and throw the indicators up, I'll explain how this goes. Like I said, you see it's a lot of green here. That 129, whenever something gets in the purple levels, I always consider that overbought or oversold. So I marked that out already with the raise, and you see we did come down once it got into that overbought level. Price decided to come back down. So everything just has to line up to how you see it, and then the structure that it shows you. So pretty decent layout on Circle. Let's see what we got next. Adobe. I know it's a lot of y'all that kind of like Adobe, but Adobe's been getting crushed year after year, month after month. Zooming out to the daily, as you can see, super crazy downtrend. Let's look at, let's go to the rotated rectangle. All right, so as you can see right off top, big bearish channel that's been forming, well, that's been playing out on Adobe. It's not really forming, it's there. So that's something that you want to pay attention to. You want to see this channel, you want to see the price action actually break out of the channel before you even decide that you just really want to go long, because there's no reason to try to time the bottom until the bottom actually reveals itself. So if we're zooming out, let's go to the weekly, because we need some good structure. All right, so check it out. Um, we're gonna mark it up with the horizontal lines just because we need some good structure for this. All right, so just going back over the year, this is back in 2019. So we talking about COVID days. Um, we're seeing prices retest those levels in these zones right here, um, and we're back here. So this is charted out on a weekly. We're still looking for a bottom. Last week we took out the previous week highs already, and we're trading in between these two, the previous week highs and the previous week's closing prices. So we want to go ahead and mark that out. And this is just a different way that you can kind of mark all the stuff out. Here's the closing price. Here's the that's the wrong thing. Horizontal array. But here's the closing price. And here's the highs right there. So when we go back in on the daily, that's what we're seeing the actual consolidation at. So even if we go back to the weekly, look at this, the opening price and the lows are pretty much around the same thing. So we're just gonna look at just trading within previous week's price action. All right. Go back in on a daily. Prices are trading between those highs and the closing price. And if we drop down in here, it's still gonna be within a bullish price range just based off of previous week's price action. Okay? So keep that in mind. Just because you see stocks red, sometimes it doesn't mean that it's bearish for that week. That just means price is starting to breathe just a little bit before it's deciding to take the next leg up. Now, over here we got this major gap down from 270 down to about 256. No clue what happened that day. Um, but just know this is gonna be selling pressure. Um, Possibly when we get above previous week's highs, we see that squeeze into this gap fill here up to about 270, maybe this 275 zone. But we gonna have to see this actually form a support bottom right above 254, maybe 255 in order to just say that, all right, we finna squeeze up a little bit more. So um, I start zooming in on the charts 4 hour to start looking for some type of smaller trends within a trend. This is where you get into like the day trading, the weekly swing trading, and everything like that. Um, I personally wouldn't confirm anything just yet. If I did, it would be these out the money 275 calls. But just because I know on this daily chart we do have this little gap down area, I wouldn't want to risk it because we had one just probably what at the beginning of the year in February. Prices traded back above and attempted to trade into it. It got right there. It didn't even completely fill it before selling back off and gapping down again. So I wouldn't want to take calls into this, risk the possibility of it happening again. The market is already running a little bit, you know, overbought in my opinion. So any type of pullback probably could destroy the price action on Adobe going to the upside too. So safer bet would probably be anywhere between 244 and 226, back up to 254. You know, if I had to take calls on something, it'd be like a 255 strike if we come like anywhere in this level, just because I know that's a proven level that can be retested without having to face a lot of selling pressure. Then if you have any runners going, above 255, you can trim it and let that last one run freely up to that 275 zone if it gets there. So Like I said, you just want to be cautious. You don't want the same thing that happened up here. You don't want that shit to happen again down in this range. So that's just my honest opinion on Adobe. I would like to see it below 244 before committing to anything upside, just to retest this 255 zone, just because that's a solid level as of right now, going off of previous week's price action, and then see if we can actually run and try to fill this gap fill. It tried it, but it got rejected. So um, just be careful above 255 if you messing with Adobe. All right. So next is United Healthcare. Actually, it's moving pretty good, but it's chopped in both directions. Why I say it's chopped in both directions? Here's your gap down right here. Let's turn that red. And then here's your gap up right here. And we can turn that one green. So here's some pin price action. Earnings got to be coming up or something. No? When is earnings? They haven't announced anything yet. Or am I tripping? I had to go back and look. I don't know why it's not displaying earnings at the bottom. I must got it turned off or something. I'll deal with it later. All right, so back to what matters. We got prices trading up into some resistance. We got 1, 2, 3 solid weeks, so it's probably starting to get a little bit pressured. We already took out previous month's highs, and we're trading into January's bearish price action. So this would be another rejection level that I would watch for, just because here's that month's opening price before it started selling off, and then here's the highs. All right, so in between here, we've already established that we've got some buying pressure in the bottom half of this candle's bearish price action. We've already established that we got some of this, but you see how they're starting to overlap. It's not really much of a gap in between the two. So as we approach the 331 target, you can see the volume is starting to dry out a little bit. And this is just a start of a weekly candle. If we look at the daily, today's daily was pretty flat between the highs and the lows. Closed bearish, but we'll just have to see how that continues to play out. But as we continue to watch this climb up past 331 towards this gap fill, possibly 358, that January highs, I believe that was, rejection could start to be set in pretty quick. Like I said, we just looked at the weekly, right? The weekly had 1, 2, 3 candles pushing to the upside. Normally, looking at United Healthcare in the past, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1, 3, 3, 1. So normally we see typically 2 to 3 good weeks on United Healthcare before price action starts to exhaust. And that's just what the charts normally say. So we just going to apply that same logic. Doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily play out, but it does mean that that's just the consistency as far as how the charts typically plays out. You get that? So let's just keep watching as it trades up to 331. Prices would be a whole lot safer. As you can see, it was rejecting pretty frequently here at the 300 to 280 level. So when we do see prices come back down into here, it should set up for a nice support and resistance flip. Since we did see this selling off a lot, once it dips back down here, these levels should hold to create some, accumulation for buyers to start stepping back in order to keep pushing this up. Maybe another gap up somewhere in between here, or take a break above these highs will set up for a nice long-term recovery looking at United Healthcare. So It's not completely out of hot water just yet. Like I said, we're going into the third week of, well, we actually going into the fourth week. We've already had 3 weeks of bullish price action. So just keep in mind, normally after 3 weeks of just solid running, we're going to have to see some breathing and some profit taking take place. If so, we want to look for re-entries back below 300 on the way back up to possibly 330 or 360. Now, if you're already in, like I said, I mean, it's already making the ride up. So I wouldn't make any starter positions just because you don't want to get the wrong entry. I think United Healthcare still has low volume on the contract, so the spreads are typically a little wide. Um, right off the top of my head, it may be like a $10 spread on the bid and the ask price. So just be mindful of that. But I would like to see this thing come back down below 300 before committing back to the upside, maybe the 360 calls. And definitely probably check out to see when earnings is, since I don't have it up right now, and then we'll see how that plays out. So let's take a look at NVO. Now, this kind of's been suffering a lot, kind of with HIMS also. Just the whole medical sector probably been suffering a little bit, maybe except Eli Lilly. So let's take a look back. It's due for some type of recovery. Let's look at the raise, and we had a lot of consolidation around these levels that we've broken beneath. And since this was a typical level for prices to hold up, we saw it gap down, and now it's trying to make that recovery. So, we got a little trend line here that could lead to something in the future. You have to see how it plays out. But we are attempting to fill this gap on the upside, back up to that 47.35. So when we go back, we look at where we got these levels at. This was actually a decent support level. We retested it over here, just the top of it. And then it rejected over here and over here. So this is kind of a catch 22. We have to see how prices actually hold once it gets back above 47. Probably going to need some type of catalyst to get it up there back in that range and have it hold, just because this was once a favorite area for calls. Now it's rejecting. It has a gap down here, so it could get back up to 47.35. We're just going to have to see how it holds between these two ranges and see if that's going to be something that bulls will want to step back into. But it's just too gappy right now. Way, way, way too gappy. So if you just line up some of the places where you see the gaps actually take place, you can see where while the bears are starting to step in at and exhaust price action once it gets back in those ranges. So I would be careful on NVO until it has a decent catalyst, or it can prove to have some better levels of support. Because right now we're just making those lower lows. These could wind up being something good long term, but right now it's just, like I said, it's too gappy. We lost a big level of support right here. It gapped down, and now it's allowing prices to push back up into it, but this is going to be considered resistance until we break back out above 58.61, and we can flip this zone right here long term back into support for bulls. So stay away from it right now. Just, DCA is at a price right now to where it could go a little bit lower. we don't really have any solid support at these ranges. If it drops more, I mean, that's the best thing that we can do. $30. And it hasn't been tested yet. So, excuse my dog in the background. Yeah, so I don't see too much that I like on NVO just yet. I don't see too much that I like. Let's look at IREN. IREN looks pretty dope right off top. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's been pressing these all-time highs back last year. Since then, it's been kind of on a trickle down. Got a nice little descending trend line right here. I mean, it looks pretty dope. I ain't gonna lie to you. It looks pretty dope. Decent little triangle pattern right there. We haven't broken out just yet. And this is just based off the weekly. So, it looks like it's peaking right there. And let's draw another little right there. And I'm just lining up from where I see this buy up right here, this resistance before it spiked up, and then this chop zone right there. If we go back to find some support, I like the support right there. You see it gets bought up a lot right there, and a lot of the spikes, and then a little bit right here. So now that we got that drawn out on a daily time frame, we'll zoom in a little bit, go to the 4 hour. So and bro, charting is not hard. You're not trying to really tell the future. You're just trying to give yourself the highest probability to either stay out of chop zones or not buy when it's just getting crushed. You feel me? So right now off top, what we're noticing is lower highs. 1, 2. This is the third test of the trend. What we're gonna want to see on IREN is a breakout above here, and you're gonna want to see a hold above 50. All right. If it holds above 50, then we could be pushing this 57, maybe 63, just because of these highs right here, and then 78. So that'll just be the staircase leading back up to the upside if we do see the breakout. This is a highly concentrated area right here. Just looking back at the 4 hour, saw a lot of consolidation here. A lot of consolidation here. We're gonna need to see whether this is just, if it's ready or not. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with what like everything IREN does, but like I said, you don't want to get caught in the chop. So, is there anything on the weekly candles that we should be looking for? 1, 2, going into a bullish third weekly candle. If you want to keep track of this for visuals, then you could mark out the opening price, which is, if I pick the right one, here's the opening price right here. 1, 2, 3. We're coming off of good bullish price action, so that's good. The previous month, we already taken out those previous month's highs, which is, again, good. We're not shooting to take out this previous month's highs, which was a bearish candle. So that could be the resistance that we're seeing attempting to break out. But like I said, you keep track of where we opened at. Once you go down to the daily chart, you know, all right, if it goes below this 48.06, then we're looking at bearish price action on that weekly candle. As long as we stay above 48, then the bulls are still in control. There's still an opportunity for this to break out above this 49.92 level. All right. Keeping track of the weekly sentiment is super, super important when you're swing trading, even day trading, because you don't want to be buying calls when it's way below where the price opened at for the week, even for the month. We're super good on the month right now. We still have 9 days to the candles close. Opening price right now is way down here at $35. So bulls are more than in control. We just need to see how the weekly is gonna stand out above $48. Like I said, we stay above here, price is gonna break out. We'll see prices above 50 and then probably 57, 58, and that'll be a good week for IREN. So I like it. We just need to see some more confirmation. We need to stay above 48. IVV, I share score S&P 500. So this looks like it just mirrors S&P 500. Of course, we're pushing those all-time highs after we seen a meltdown for what, 5 weeks getting destroyed. We finally take our opportunity to melt back to the upside and crush these all-time highs. So for the one that asked for IVV, I wouldn't grab any starter positions for sure. The opportunity was back here when we start losing structure here, where we were actually being chopped for weeks at a time. So once we broke below here, I wouldn't say this was the opportunity, because I was actually expecting for price to come down to 613, 614, just to retest the same way we melted up. I wanted to see this continue to melt down, but of course, catalyst happens, move the market at unexpected times, and like I always say, you gotta expect the unexpected, and that's what happened. We're going on a 3-week span up. Today was pretty flat. We gapped down. We gapped down yesterday when the futures market opened, but we managed to maintain. Look at it, super flat for the day, super fucking flat. So you just got to continue to monitor this stock or any other the ETFs. We got earnings season that's here. You got Tesla coming up. We got Apple, Amazon, Google. It's earnings season, so this could be, a catalyst for either we continue to pump or we shift back down and start coming back down to levels that we need to see eventually. So if you're in IVV, which is, like I said, it's mirrored for the S&P 500, no starter positions. I wouldn't go either direction, bears or bulls, just because we're coming off strong. Anything right now that comes down is considered a pullback. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice rally that we got going on. We've already taken our previous month's highs, of course. So, we got 9 days left for this calendar. We just need to see how that plays out. 3 months. Still got 2 months left. So that's a lot of time in this quarter for prices to continue to fluctuate and decide where it actually wants to settle. So once again, don't really get too caught up with the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ right now at the moment, because it doesn't really have a ceiling. We just have to see how certain levels play out and then see when these support levels are going to be retested. So that's all I really can say about this. It's overbought in my opinion, just because we've ran so intense over the past couple of weeks. But who knows what's gonna happen as long as Mr. Trump's in office and he dishing out his own catalyst. You feel me? So on to ONDS. Let's see. Yeah, the volume used to be super low at one point. But we do have some good stuff coming in. We do have some good movement coming in. Trying to find the right way to break this down because right now we're in a chop zone. The weekly candles aren't pushing too much. I'm not seeing anything really just break out. We're chopped in between this previous month's candle. So let's just mark it out. Here's the highs. And here's the lows. And then here's the open. And here's the close. So like I said, it's pretty much a chop zone right now for ONDS. We're not really seeing breakout or a breakdown. We're just seeing a sideways movement for the most part. So this daily chart does show a nice bullish engulfing candle here in reference to Friday's price action. Bullish engulfings they're pretty dope as long as it holds. So as long as the prices actually holds above this level right here. It's 967. Let's just turn that one green. All right, so we got a nice bullish engulf in this two candle pattern right here. We need prices in order for that two candle pattern to hold up. Prices are gonna need to hold above $9.67. Like I said, we pretty much trading sideways, and we're trading against a previous month bearish candle. But once we take out those highs above 1250, that could be the little breakout that we need in order to go back and retest the highs up here. So it's not really much structure over here. You just straight melt down and then a melt up over here. So it's not much structure. So that's why we just want to pay attention to these levels that we just marked out over on this side. Like I said, highs and lows 726 to 1250 to 775. And then we want to see the actual price action stay above 966 since we had that bullish engulfing candle today. So just watch the ping pong play around, see where everything wants to map itself out. See, we got a little support right here with the descending trend line, and just be careful. Like I said, bullish engulfings don't always play out, but it's one of my personal favorites just because buyers stepped in a dramatic fashion prior to the candle before that. As long as we stay above it, then we should see some nice price action go. Either this is probably going to be a super volatile move just to go ahead and break out and flip the narrative, or we just trade sideways until that price action actually breaks and invalidates that bullish engulfing back below 966. So it's nothing really interesting just yet. Just some sideways movement on the on the entire stock. So that's what I see in my eyes. Until we take out and change the structure, sideways movement. You feel me? And I actually like this one. Neb Imbis. I played this for the first time, last week. He made some pretty good money on it on a retest of 168. And then it finally sold off. So 52-week highs. Pretty overextended. But let's look at the weekly. Yeah, it's still pretty overextended. So I do believe it has earnings coming up. So this could be a catalyst for it in the future. Earnings is in 9 days. I knew I had it somewhere else, right, other than down here. But earnings is in 9 days. The premiums are probably already gonna be pretty juiced up. So we seen a smaller pullback last week. 132. Everything's still bullish. Even if we pull back at any particular time, this can get bought back up. You coming off of 1, 2, 3 bullish weeks. Here's the cool down a little bit. I want to say it gap down one of these days. Did we? Small one right here, but it's already taking that price action back out, pushing back to the upside. I wouldn't take any position on Nebius right now, just because it's so overextended. I wouldn't go puts or calls right now. I'll let ER decide what it's gonna do, and then you can play it from there. If you're already in, super dope. You know, do what you do, take profits or whatever. But this is just one of those stocks that is already pretty overextended from the breakout. Here was your consolidation zones right here between 80 and 132. And once we broke out, it's pretty much off to the races. Like I said, we off to those 52-week highs. No reason to go chasing when we're pushing those highs because the top's not factored in. I told somebody to look for profit taking above 169. It pushed 160, 168.20, and that's when it decided to come back down. So let earnings play out. See if it comes back and retest these huge consolidation zone between 132 and 81. Yes, it moves just that fast from what I've been seeing as of lately. So don't touch it just right now. Let earnings play out. Let the dust settle. Let's see how it goes from there. And last but not least, Verizon. Verizon is just a pretty dope dividend stock. There's nothing really interesting about it. Cheap contracts, but I mean, just look at it. If we go all the way back from 96 all the way up to 2026, I mean, it's still in a range. So it's not much that you can really do with it, but just invest in it. Take the dividends from it and keep pushing. Last payment was 70 cents. So, for the one that asked about Verizon, there's not really much TA to put to it. This is a boring stock. Look for long-term, just consolidation, dollar cost averaging. Let the dividends, correct it if you're in the hole a little bit. But from 96 to 2026, it hasn't moved. just let the stock do what it do. So, but yeah, we've been on here about 45 minutes, and we can cover a couple of different stocks. And I just wanted to just touch bases and see how everybody's feeling, and just see what stocks are we all watching, just to get a variety and see what the market's offering. So, market's still getting pretty interesting, especially with everything pushing all-time highs, especially with um, earnings coming up. It's getting interesting. So I hope everybody's been doing pretty dope. And if you got more tickers that you won't watch, that you want me to look at or you want me to watch, drop them in the comments, and I will break them down for you and see how everything looks for you. So Bitcoin does still look pretty dope, by the way. Um, Still got room to 84. So, yeah, still got room to 84. So, all right, man. Y'all boys stay dangerous. Y'all stay in tune with the market. Don't force no trades. Like I said, everything's pushing at all-time highs. So be careful. Add new long positions. Like I said, we want to wait till the market isn't in the spotlight and starts to get a bit boring. And once we start to see that, then we can start looking at some stuff. Bro, the Gang fan is still undefeated. You feel me? Still undefeated. But all right, man, I'm finna tap out of here. Look at some more stuff. I just wanted to knock this video out. Shout out to all the Kingdom members. You guys are fucking amazing. Trying to make it New Fish Big Pun. David Knight, Sambo, Ryan, and everybody. I know I'm missing names, but shout out to all my family. Bro, y'all guys are dope and amazing. Catch you guys in a little bit.